What is up, fellas? How are we doing? Sorry, I'm a little bit late. Running a little bit behind today, but glad to be here. It's quite a day. Things finally wrapped up in a very popular trial. I bought a ton of rye this week. And yeah, so let's get into it. I say Sean's here. John is here. Hanging AZ in Diamatron. Thank you guys for joining as always. Wayne Montpetit, probably saying your last name wrong. I apologize, Wayne, but thank you, Wayne, for joining us as well. Glad to see you. Happy everybody's here. So first, let's get into the whiskey stuff, and then we'll get into the other stuff. Well, I think first off, I think we need to pour a little bit of rye. What do you guys think? How about we pour some rye tonight? This seems like the right bottle for the evening. Let's get that. Yeah, there we go. All right. So how we doing, fellas? How we doing this evening? What are your thoughts on the week? How's everybody been? How's your week gone? All that good stuff. I'm going to take my first sip of whiskey. It's been a long day. That's why I'm running behind. I apologize again, guys. Yeah, so it is a rye night. Hey, Jack, what's up? Glad you could join us, buddy. I am, those just joining, I am drinking some Rittenhouse rye, otherwise known as LeBron James's favorite rye. So, yeah. Not cold yet here. Okay, well, lucky you. Because here it's currently 33 degrees. Is Rittenhouse better than Wild Turkey 101? Hard to say. So let's talk about that. Let's get into what I have bought. So now you guys have probably seen these reviews already: Old Forester 100 rye and Wild Turkey 101 rye. Yes, cry rye. Yeah. And then this week, I also picked up Jim Beam rye, just because whatever. Picked up Old Overholt rye. There we go. Of course, Rittenhouse, which you guys have seen that review. And also Ezra Brooks. As far as I know, this is a new rye. I don't believe I've seen this before, so that's cool. And then Knob Creek rye. So also want to get your guys' opinion as to what else should be in the lineup. Now, of course, Bullet and Jack Daniel's rye will be in there as well. So that gives us, let's see, that would give us 9. So I'm thinking of doing a 5 versus 5 bourbon rye, well, rye battle, not bourbon battle. So I'll do it in 2 sets, do one video of 5 and another video of 5. And then the first and second place in those 2 videos will be in the final video for the championship, I guess we'd say. Well, okay, so here's the thing, AZ. Redemption is not real. So the whole theme here is budget ryes. The most expensive rye I have is $30, and I kind of made that the cap. So at least in my area, Redemption rye is like $36, usually more like $40. So I have to cap it somewhere to be fair, because I mean on the other end of the scale is Ezra Brooks, which was like $15. So I don't want the prices too far apart, just for fairness. Sazerac rye. The thing is that if I could find one for under 30, that would be doing something. I've never seen it less than 50, honestly. So I don't know how I could get one for under 30. You know, it should be under 30. That's what the price should be, but I've never seen one that cheap. So Unfortunately, yeah. But if you guys have any other ideas, maybe think about it as we go through the stream. Any other ideas for budget rise that maybe I'm missing? Yeah, that'd be good. Really, I tell you, AZ, you guys are cleaning up down there in Arizona with the crazy prices on bourbon and rye. I mean, legit, I've never seen a baby Saz for less than $50 ever. Wayne, are you talking about baby Saz for $29? Man, that is crazy. North Carolina. I'm wondering if it's worth the gas to drive there and get one. That's crazy to me. $29. I mean, legit, I've never seen it. The cheapest I've ever seen at a store around here is $49.99, which sucks. But yeah, that's the deal. So I'll probably be searching during the week to, maybe I'll get lucky and find the Saz for 30 or less. But unfortunately, that's not what I'm seeing them for. So I can't, in all honesty, put it in the budget rye category, even though it should be. That's what it used to be, and now it's not. So, interesting. I didn't know that North Carolina was state controlled, Wayne. Cool. Good to know. Now, is that just ABC stores or all stores? Curious on that. Maybe there are some states that aren't terribly far away that are state controlled. Of course, I know Ohio is. That's just north of us. I didn't know that North Carolina was, though. That as well. Also, man, so Dimetron also seeing it for 30. John, I forget. I'm sorry, Sean. That's Sean. Where are you at again? I feel like I'm confusing your state with. It seemed like Texas, or maybe that was. I think that's still living in the woods. I apologize for not remembering. But yes, Kentucky booze tax is just ridiculous. It's something like 10% of whatever the bottle price is. Oh, Dallas Fort Worth. Okay, so you are Texas. Okay. Yeah, so that's something. You guys are just cleaning up in the Southwest, I guess. I'm just always amazed that I have to pay more than you guys, and I live in the state where it's made. Call me JR for legal purposes. All right, fair enough. That's easier than Sean and John, and because I'm Sean and he's Sean and you're John, and they're all very similar. All right. So yeah, so that's the plan, guys. I'm going to do 10 total, 5 and 5. We'll narrow it down to the final 4, and then we will crown the king of the budget rise. I have a feeling it will either be Rittenhouse or 101, Wild Turkey 101, but we will see. We'll see how it goes. Of course, those will be blind tasting, so can't cheat. But again, if you guys can think of another budget rye that would fit in that category, yeah, let me know. I will be on the lookout, obviously, as well. And if not, then, maybe we'll just cheat a little and throw redemption in there. What is up, Embellish Podcast? Thanks, bro, for joining us. Appreciate it, man. See, in the Commonwealth, it gets more expensive the farther from Louisville you get. I'm out west paying through the nose. Yeah, man. So I am down south. I'm south central. I'm in Wayne County. So, we're as far south as you can go and not be Tennessee. So yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, like I said just a second ago, I mean, we're paying, at least in this county, we're paying between all the taxes, it's about 10% of what the bottle price is. That's what it works out to being. So if it's more than that. It's more like 15% now that I think about it. Yeah, because a $30 bottle after everything is said and done is about 36, 37. So Yeah. Hang AZ, and I believe that review is out. Pretty sure I got the review out already. Seems like it. Feel like I did that already. Yeah. So the Jack Daniel's rye review is out. The Old Forester rye review is out. Wild Turkey 101 rye review is out. I feel like I did the bullet one. I'll have to double check. If I haven't, then I'll have to do that. Dang, I'm going to have to try Rittenhouse. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. And no pun intended, and not even joking around about the case or anything like that. I think it's actually a very solid rye. Yeah, I expect either that or Wild Turkey 101 to win. Old Forester might pull it out. It's just this bottle I have, I feel like isn't a good bottle of Old Forester rye. I've had really killer bottles, and this one, it's a little bit too oak forward for me. And I don't mind oak, but this has more than usual. Same here, but also west. Murray. Okay, I'm not familiar. Oh, the heels. Yeah. Okay, I got you. So you're just barely in the state. So yeah, I guess we need to move towards Louisville. I tell you, the taxes are ridiculous. I have a Redemption 10-year single barrel rye. It's good, but I wouldn't put it up against Whistle Pig's 10-year or High West Rendezvous. Yeah, so I've never had Whistle Pigs, but I've had the old bottle of Rendezvous and the new one. I think the new bottle of Rendezvous is good, not as good as many people have said. And I actually know a place in Florida, I'm not going to say where, because I'm hoping they'll still be there next time I go, where the old bottles are still sitting. I'm going to try and snag one next time I'm down. Unfortunately, I'd already spent my whiskey budget when I found it last time I was down in Florida. Like Redemption Rye, free sample was a bit minty. Yeah, so the Wild Turkey 101 was really minty at first, and then it opened up, and now it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I really like it. By the way, guys, if you are a bourbon nerd like myself, and you love bourbon facts and stuff like that, and you want to learn more about bourbon and whiskey, Embellish Podcast does some great stuff. I mean, if you want to learn history and just more about bourbon and American whiskey, check him out. They are a lot of facts, so I hope more people get into that. So for those that don't know, that wasn't watching my channel when I first started, I used to have like a whole segment on the history of each bottle when I first started, and nobody was watching it. Nobody was watching the history portion. I would do 3 or 4 minutes of history on each bottle, and nobody was watching the history part. I was looking at my analytics, and people were just skipping through the history and going straight to the tasting notes and nosing notes. So I was like, why am I going to spend a couple hours researching history on each bottle when nobody's watching it? And so I stopped doing it. But I wish that more people would get into that. And maybe they will. But if you guys want history and just fun facts about bourbon and American whiskey, check out Embellish Podcast. Good dude. I will take mint over black licorice. Yeah, for sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. I will definitely do that. I won't do it on stream because, but yeah, I'll get in contact with you. Okay, let's see here. Love Wild Turkey 101 rye. Yes, good stuff. I watched the history parts. Thank you, other Sean. I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I really hope more people get into it. I think that the history of bourbon is super interesting. I think that, the way that it kind of came about, how because farmers were basically looking to make more money. I mean, that's how most bourbon came about, is that families were trying to find new ways to make money with their corn. And so, yeah, bourbon, bam. And a lot of it was, depends on your source for history, but a lot of things were kind of accidental or just kind of haphazardly done. And now we have this amazing product, which this is rye, but nonetheless, yeah, so thank you all those guys way back when that were just messing around in the backwoods with their corn trying to make more money. Because now we have, in my opinion, the greatest spirit to ever exist in the human history. So, yes, to bourbon and rye as well, since it's a rye night. And yes, the history is the awesome part. I will start there. 101 is a good baseline always. Yeah, so John or JR, I'm sorry. If you like the mintiness in uh, Redemption, I would imagine you're going to like this. But as, at least to me, as 101 opens up the rye, you get a lot more fruity sweet notes. It was very, like I said, it was very mint forward at first, but then it really opened up, and I really enjoy it now. I was kind of, the mint was a little bit overpowering at first, but it's really opened up, and it's, like I said, I expect it to be in the final four and probably top two. Bourbon is Americana, absolutely. All NC stores are ABC state control. Oh, okay, cool. Good to know. VA and PA are state controlled too, but I don't know their avail. Okay. Yeah, I need to get out more and shop outside of the state more. I never have time. As you guys, most of you know, I work full time, so I bourbon hunt when I can, but usually within the state. Sometimes I get down in Tennessee because there's a few stores, few honey holes I've found down in there that are pretty awesome. For whatever reason, especially Jack Daniel's products are available which I mean, obviously it comes from Tennessee, but that's not the case in Kentucky. Like Kentucky products are not available everywhere in Kentucky, but Tennessee products are just, I mean, especially like a lot of the Jack Daniel's stuff, just all over the place in Tennessee. So that's always where I go if I need to get kind of a more exclusive Jack Daniel's product. I just swing down to Tennessee. It's like a hour drive, and then I can get my Jack. Which, and what is the new release from Jack? I'm not going to remember, but it's like Soil something. Whatever the new special release is from Jack, I'm looking forward to getting that. Hope I do. And by the way, the guys that are comfortable with this, I know I shouldn't probably be announcing this on a live, but yes, that's it. Thank you, Embellish Podcast. Coil Hill, yes. From what Jason over at Mash and Drum said, I love the tasting notes that he described. So if it's anything like that at all, I have to get a bottle. Plus, it's like 140 proof, possibly. That is a monster of a bottle. Let's see here. Let me go back up here. So what is the mash bill for 101 rye? I could not tell you off the top of my head. Sorry. Regular 101 is more rye than some rye. Yeah, your standard 101 is a high rye mash bill for sure. I couldn't tell you. Okay, there you go. Other Sean with the answer. So, Sean, I was telling Dr. Trump about Buffalo Trace score for 19 bucks. Man, that is a score for sure. Yeah, it's never that low here. It used to be like low 20s, and now starting kind of this year, it's more like 25 and up. That's why it was not in my 5 best bourbons under 25 or whatever the heck I called that video. I couldn't put it in there, honestly, because I hardly ever see it for under 25. Coil Hill, 10-year, Sinatra blend. Yes. It was the Coil Hill I was talking about for sure. Embellish Podcast. I want to get that bottle. That looks like such a crazy bottle. Hoping I can grab one. But anyway, what I was going to say is if you guys find a bottle of Coil Hill, Coy Hill? I'm saying it wrong. I keep saying Coil. That's wrong. Anyway, you guys find a bottle of Coy Hill and you are willing to make a transaction with me I will gladly send you the money. As long as you can get it to me safely. Only qualifier is I'm not paying over $100 for it. So I know retail is like $70. So if you guys find one and you're willing to make a deal with me, I would very much appreciate it because I really, really want that bottle. I know I probably shouldn't announce that on a live, but whatever. Just poured a glass of Buffalo Trace 2. Awesome. I had some fresh 1792 foolproof store picks a little bit ago. Oh, very nice. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of standard 1792, but the single barrel, the foolproof, and the bottle and bond, I love all of those. The regular 1792 is a little bit too like banana runts or maybe banana Laffy Taffy, something like that. Because I like the banana note in Old Forester products because that's a little more brown sugar forward. But the regular 1792 small batch, I don't know. I don't care for the banana note in that as much. Not that it's bad, it's just not my favorite. But the other stuff from 1792 is awesome. As you said, the foolproof. And I can't imagine store picks must be even better. Never had a store pick of foolproof, but I'm sure they are fantastic. Also, guys, about Embellish Podcast, the guy has a very impressive whiskey wall behind him. It puts mine to shame. So if you want to, and actually, Embellish, just let the people know, how long have you been into whiskey? Because I have a pretty good feeling it's longer than me. I've been collecting for about 3.5 years now, and I'm pretty certain that you have me beat by a significant amount, I would bet. I feel better about my whiskey if I get a deal, cheap at heart. Yeah, me too, man. I hope to find a bottle of Coy Hill at retail. That would be great, but I would pay up to $100 based on other special releases from Jack. I'm sure it'll be worth $100. So, but that's kind of that's where I'm stopping at. My wife just poured me a 4-way blind budget, Ancient Age 10-star, Evan Williams small batch, and Jack Daniels. My money is on Evan Williams small batch. That's what I would take out of that group any day of the week. See here. What's your take on 17 Fib? I'll keep an eye on, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, if anybody sees it, please let me know. I know, Embellish, I know that you're probably going to want one too, so you're probably going to need to find two, and I know it's probably a tall order. But yeah, I'm probably going to take a trip down to Tennessee here shortly and see if I can find one myself. And of course, I will let you guys know if I do. But really hoping I can get one. Hang on, I'll actually haven't had Bib, just some 12-year small. Okay, sweet wheat. See, I've never had the sweet wheat. I've never had the 12-year. Yeah, I've had the bottle and bond, the foolproof, and the single barrel. I drink most whiskey on rocks. Lower proof, I have to drink fast. Yeah, I'd say. Dan from Lifetime Whiskey was kind of going on a tangent last night about people that give other people crap about mixing whiskey. And I know I tend to. I mean, I don't really much care what people do. I just kind of like to joke around. But, I mean, to me, like, whiskey is such an art form that it feels wrong to me to ruin it with something like Coke or really any soda. I think old-fashioned, there's a little more, because at the same time, having a bartender background, I was a bartender for about 3 years. There is an artwork to being a good bartender. So someone that can make a good old-fashioned or something, or like a whiskey sour isn't quite as, I mean, you can make it more artful, but so I think that a good, like, certain mixed drinks kind of qualify as okay in my mind. Not that that matters, but people that just mix whiskey with Coke kind of irritate me. I think that that's just wrong on some level when you think about all the work that went into making that whiskey. The time they took to get the mash bill just right, keeping the temperatures just right as it ferments, and then they're going through the distillation process and they're doing their cuts and making sure the cuts are done at the right time and all the tasting that gets involved in that. And then they age it and you have to take care of the barrel and it's aged for a certain period of time, hopefully a long time. So then all that work goes into this and then you just pour Coke on it. I don't know. It feels wrong. I'm from Kentucky. I've always been into Kentucky. Always had a dozen or so bottles. But during quarantine, I took all the money I would have used eating out and on gas and bought bottles. Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, there you go. I drank whiskey back in the day, just got back into it 1.5 years ago. Okay. Very nice. Cool. Yes. Good to see that. Yeah. Belch Podcast. Good dude. Check him out, man. Especially if you like history and facts, man. He does a great job. He's a great speaker. You can tell he's doing his research. This guy knows a ton. I will say it outright. He knows more about bourbon and whiskey than I do. I'm not ashamed to say it. But into bourbon really for 7 years, collecting for about 4. In-laws are in Tennessee, so I'll be heading that way next week. Oh, awesome, man. Yeah, I hope, if nothing else, I hope that you can get a bottle. Because I think that it's going to be possibly, if I get one, I have a feeling that will be in strong contention for Bourbon of the Year. We'll have to see. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So I hope to not offend anybody, and if I do, I apologize ahead of time. I'm going to get a little political here, but I'm going to try and keep it in a joking way. So I hope no feelings get hurt. So I'm going to, let's see here. I'm always terrible at sharing screen. Share screen. Here we go. Window. This one. Am I sharing? I hope I'm sharing. Can you guys see what I put up? I can't tell. Can you see it? I hope so. I hope I did this right. I'm always terrible at this. So, okay. So I'll just read it. So this was a post from Gavin Newsom, everyone's favorite guy. America today, you can break the law, carry around weapons built for a military, shoot and kill people, and get away with it. That's the message we've just sent to armed vigilantes across the nation. I hope not. I hope that that's not the message that this sent. I think there's a lot of things wrong with that text, like, for instance, the fact that it's not a weapon intended for the military. I wish that more people would get educated about guns just so we could have a more interesting conversation about it. I know everybody has their thoughts on the Rittenhouse trial, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I think a lot of things went wrong for that to happen. I think we probably need to have a conversation about, what kind of a government allows for that kind of a situation to take place in the first place, that citizens even feel the need to defend themselves. No, and Rock, AZ, I wasn't talking about you. Rox is not mixing. That reminded me of it, and so that's why I was bringing up. What about horseless carriage? Jack, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I live in hell. I need ice. Yeah, for sure. I don't doubt that. Straight rye with a splash, lemonade. Okay, fair enough. That's always the deal with AZ and Bellis, just so you know. You have to like Wild Turkey 101. I'm doing a stream on Tuesday night, hanging. There will be tons of turkey, and I'll probably be sipping 101 during the stream. Awesome. Whoa, what are these people doing? Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys feel about it. And, feel free. I don't forget what I have to say. I'm curious how everybody else feels about, and try and keep it civil, guys. I don't want like arguments, but I'm curious like what other people feel about what's going on with the case, how they think society's responding, um, and just, what are your feelings on it? How do you think it went? Do you feel like it was justice? Do you feel like things could have went differently? I think better choices could have been made on both sides. Uh, just curious what other folks are thinking. Just embellish. Don't do anything Canadian. All right then. That's funny. Hey, there's a lot of great things coming out of Canada. I don't know if whiskey's one of them. But hey, Norm Macdonald's Canadian, so not everything in Canada is bad. Jordan Peterson's Canadian. Who else? There's other good Canadians. Can't think of any right now. Not much for celebrities. So, can you even be into bourbon if you don't like Wild Turkey 101? Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Probably not. Speaking about guns, I got my new Goose handloads down, ready for the season. Oh, very nice, Jack. Cool. So just so you guys know, I didn't really mention that earlier, but I am going to have to cut the stream a little short tonight. Probably going to head out about 10:15, 10:30 because of the same reason. I am going hunting in the morning, so I got to be up at like 5:15, something like that. So I'd like to get a little bit of sleep before, yeah. Good to have your wits about you when you have a gun in your hand. Hanging Alberta Premium Rye is probably one of my faves this year, so I make no promises. Okay. You shouldn't be able to kill people and get away with it, in my opinion. Okay, fair enough. Justice was served. Kids needs to find new hobby. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Is that I have to wonder what his parents were doing. Like I can't imagine a situation where my parents would have let me go out into an area where they knew that riots were taking place when I was 17 years old. As far as my thoughts on the events that happened after that, after the poor decisions, I don't know. I think the kid did as best he could for a 17-year-old kid. But I think, as I said earlier, I think a lot of things went wrong for that to even happen. Like, for instance, the government not defending its citizens, and so citizens felt like they needed to. I cannot. And then on top of that, that same government that didn't defend their citizens, then prosecuting citizens that did defend themselves. It seems complete, but everything's insane right now. Everything is so insane right now that that's just one of many things that's insane. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, there's so many. That's why I say what I said is that there's so many things that had to go wrong for that situation to even have happened. That I don't know, man. It is a very complex situation. I have to say my main takeaway from all this is that, I mean, you guys know, actually, I'll explain real quickly for those that don't know my views on government. I feel like the less we can rely on them, the better, generally. But since they exist, I expect them to do what we pay them to do. And I feel like they definitely did not in this situation and many other situations we saw last year. So, if you're going to pay them money, I expect them to do what they're paid to do. And they didn't. So, yeah. And I'm not going to get into the race thing. I don't think it's relevant at all to the case. I think the fact that this is become a race issue that's just strange to me. It has nothing to do with race. So it's just a lot of things went bad. Canadian whiskey is okay, just not Canadian folk songs. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard a Canadian folk song. So, yeah, don't know what to say about that. I'm going to visit family in New York next week, so I'll be exploring. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I hope you find some good stuff. And yes, embellish, yes, deer season is on. It is gun season right now for deer. So, hoping to get one. We'll see what happens. You know, they have to walk in front of you. So, hasn't happened yet. We've been out 4 times so far. Gun season opened on the 13th and nothing yet. Haven't even seen anything. So, kind of disheartening. Usually would have at least seen them by now. You know, sometimes you just don't have a good shot, but usually at least you see them. Haven't even seen them yet. So, kind of stinks. But it was a really good year for for acorns and things like that this year in Kentucky. So, they don't have as much reason to come after whatever you're baiting them with, or really just as much reason to come out of the woods, period. So, yeah. My old fashions last week with JD's single barrel proof kicked my ass. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think like a really well-made old fashioned like that's in a different tier from other mixed drinks to me, because you know if you're doing it really well, an old fashioned is kind of an art form. So I'm kind of okay with that. What is up, Commandante? How we doing, man? Glad you could join us. Yeah, good to have you here. Hanging AZ chat. Yeah, Statesville. Everybody. Evening, Lou. Big Lou. If someone gave a 10-year-old the keys to a car and told them to drive to town, can you really blame the kid for what happens next? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the Rittenhouse thing. You know, it's just I cannot. I mean, I guess the situation is that she's a single mother now. Her and dad are separated. But still, man, I cannot imagine a situation. And I was a rebellious kid, but I can't imagine any situation where my parents would let me out at 17 years old with a loaded gun and go into an area where riots are taking place. I don't know any scenario where that would be okayed in my house. So that seems really weird to me. But hey, that whole situation was completely insane. You know, at the same time, it's like, what do you do? I mean, when people are burning down businesses and burning up cars and stuff, and the government does nothing, what do you do? I don't know. This set a precedent for people who need to defend themselves and have to defend themselves in court afterwards. I've been involved in 2 self-defense matters and felt attacked on both times. Yeah, so that's the thing, is that given the video evidence, I mean, it definitely looks like self-defense. I don't know how you could say it's not. It's just that, you know, the whole situation is crap. That's, I think what's missed by a lot of people is that why aren't more people upset with the government? Why are they not upset with the Wisconsin government for refusing aid in the situation and doing nothing about the riots? I get that, you know, there was racial issues involved, and so they didn't want to step in for those reasons. But you can't allow businesses and cars and other property to just be burned down because of that. That doesn't. It's not an okay to just do whatever you want. I don't know. It's just the world is insane right now. It was not a racial case. They can put that in the time capsule. Yeah, pretty much. Any CWD incident in your area? I'm trying to think what that acronym stands for. You have to forgive me, embellish. My brain is just barely functioning right now. Good luck on hunt. Cheers. Thank you for that. I like elk meat, but too damn lazy to haul one out anymore. Yeah, man, elks are big, man. That's like nearly hauling a cow. But that is my dream hunt. I have yet to do one because here in Kentucky they are a lottery. So it's a little bit of work to go through to even get an elk tag, and then they're quite expensive on top of that, and they're not guaranteed. And right now, most of my free money goes to whiskey. So yeah, it's kind of tough spending a bunch of money on elk when I can spend a lot less and get several deer. But I love elk meat. I would love to get a giant bowl, and maybe someday I will. Maybe someday when I'm making decent money with this whole YouTube thing, you know, fingers crossed, maybe then we can get an elk tag and do that thing. Yeah, that's when the real work starts, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun until they're down on the ground and you have to do all the processing. That's why I'm an old fan of 7 Grand Whiskey Bar. They make great old fashions with your whiskey of choice. Oh, very cool. I forget, you're in Texas as well, right, Lou? I believe so. Got several guys from Texas group. Well, I guess other Sean is still with us. I don't know. Yes, very true. Yeah, why he was there is kind of irrelevant to the case. I know a lot of news media tried to make a huge deal out of that, but yeah, why he was there didn't really matter. Dudes, I had 17-year-olds that joined me in the service. Some people step in where others can't or won't. Yep. You know, that's the dilemma for me. It's like, so if the government that is paid to protect you doesn't do it, what do you do as a citizen? I'm sure that government's done lots of wonderful things, just haven't seen them. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, a little bit. Screwed the pooch a little bit. Yeah, so Jack, so far, CWD has not. Oh, that's what, right. Okay, so let me go back to this CWD question here. Okay, right. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for the refresher, Jack. Yeah, so CWD cases, none in our area yet. They are in Western Kentucky a little bit. Western and kind of south, not really central, but they're all west of us and south of us. So nothing here yet. SARS in a deer, interesting. Yeah, so far no cases in our county or any of the surrounding counties. So, you know, I hope that they can contain it for a while. It's really hard to contain a deer population as big as Kentucky has. We have a pretty good sized deer population for the state we're in. So I imagine it will get here eventually, which will suck because then you have to take more measures to make sure other deer stay safe. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it is best for the whole deer population. So do what we got to do. Elk steak is great. Venison is a bit gamey for me. Yeah, I mean, it can be. I think a lot of it depends on how it's aged. Also, how the meat was taken care of. There's a lot of factors, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. There's a little wang to it, I guess, but I think, you know, if you brine your steaks and if you season your ground beef well, it doesn't bother me much. Yes, Texas. Thank you, Texas guys, for showing up. Appreciate it. CWD is present here in this county. Yeah, I figured it would be. That's kind of, unfortunately, it's have to physically check every deer now. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that will probably, I would imagine next year, come deer season, probably everybody in South Kentucky will be doing that. which sucks, but it is what it is. Cheers to Lou. Yes. Oh, okay. Hey, that's all right. I thought about going light tonight and drinking beer, but since I'm doing a live, I figured I better drink some whiskey. Oh, very cool. Yeah, let us know how that turns out, Lou. That sounds interesting. I've always wanted to do a homebrew thing. It's just I'm always short on time. I need more time. I need lots more time to do stuff. Um, real quick, I'm going to try screen sharing again because, as you know, well, actually, I don't know if you do know. I'm a pretty big basketball fan, and LeBron James. You follow me, you're probably aware now because of my Rittenhouse review. LeBron James made a tweet about Rittenhouse that I thought was, I don't know, a little out of bounds. So I'm going to try this whole screen sharing thing again. If you're not familiar with the tweet, I will try and share that first. Share. Okay, share screen. Entire screen. Okay, let me know if this is working. So I'm going to leave that up for a second. You guys let me know if you can see it. If you're not familiar with the tweet, this was the tweet from LeBron James at King James. And by the way, I'm not a LeBron James fan. I'm a Jordan fan, diehard. I watched Jordan play. I'm old enough to have done that. So LeBron James will never be the GOAT to me. I think he's a fantastic player. I just wish he would kind of stay in his lane a little bit more and talk about basketball instead of political issues as much. Although I guess he's as qualified as any of us. I just wish he would kind of think it through a little more. I don't know. I feel like it was a really bad take on the whole thing. Anyway, could anybody see that? I guess is my question. It looks like you could, hopefully. So that was the tweet from LeBron James for those that are not familiar with it. See, I'm liking this Knob Creek straight rye. Looks like more people are getting into rye. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. So this guy right here, yeah, this is kind of the top of the line in our budget line. This was just under 30. And yeah, that will be in our budget lineup. And that might be a strong contender as well. So could you guys see that when I screen shared? Can you actually see me screen sharing right now? I hope so. I can see it on my end, so I hope you guys are seeing it. Let me know, yes or no. It looks like I'm screen sharing, so I will assume I am. So then I found this tweet, which I thought was funny. This is the man who mocked a teenager for crying. LeBron. Our man LeBron. He's made it into the memes. And let's see, some other memes. What's the difference between LeBron James and Kyle Rittenhouse? Kyle doesn't miss shots under pressure. That one's a little rough. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys I haven't seen any new comments, and well, here we go. Commandante Lou is still with us. I prefer not rye, but am starting to appreciate the goodness of rye. Yeah, at first, I was kind of anti-rye myself. Lou, let me stop screen sharing here. There we go. But I've really gotten into ryes lately and really enjoying them. Did we lose some guys? I hope that hope the whole LeBron jokes didn't scare anybody off. But in any case, yeah, I'm really enjoying Rise now, especially a little more high end Rise like Rendezvous, the malted rye from. Okay, cool. Embellish, I'm sorry. Remind me of your name, man, before you head out. And I'll be here for another hour-ish. Feels weird calling you Embellish every time. So, yeah, gotta get the kids to bed. And yeah, everybody's putting the kids to bed. Good on you, John. That's right, John. I thought it was John, but I didn't want to. Yeah, so we got lots of Johns and Shawns in the chat. Good for us. All right, John. Yeah, like I said, I'll be here for another hour or so. So hopefully. Ooh, spicy. LOL. I'm looking something up. Sorry. Haha. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys could see my screen share. I keep feeling like I'm doing it wrong. For those of you guys that don't know, I am not tech savvy. This whole YouTube thing was kind of out of my realm. I do construction for a living. And before that, I did pool maintenance and pool technician work. And then before that, I did landscaping. So I've always worked with my hands. I've never been a computer guy. So doing this YouTube thing was kind of a daunting task. But I feel like I'm doing okay, not great. I always feel like things could be better. But, yeah, it's going all right, I guess. I mean, you guys are here. You guys tolerate me, so I appreciate that. I rebooted and got a refund. Okay, cool. See here. Only one Jack, though. Haha. So now, is that your actual name? Or I thought that was maybe an acronym. But if your name is actually Jack, then that's easy enough to remember. Yeah. Definitely check out John Hughes, Mr. Embellish Podcast. I'm telling you guys, if you're especially into the history and fun facts and all the good stuff kind of going on behind the scenes with bourbon and American whiskey, John is doing great stuff over at Embellish Podcast. So that's the last of my Rittenhouse rye. Now let's get a sneak peek here into what I think will be the strongest contender for Rittenhouse here. Some Wild Turkey 101 rye. Now, what's that, AZ? I'm reading it. Let me throw it up on screen here. Short for Jacques. Is that name? You guys know each other? Their initials, but also the first three letters of my first name. Kind of weird, so I just play it out. Okay, cool. Yeah, my initials are said. So it's not as cool as Jack. So what are we drinking, fellas? What do we got going on? Bottle just looks like America. Indeed, it does. And this is the old one. I need to get the new one, although the new one isn't quite as America. But yeah, you know, me and my dad. Of course, my dad doesn't drink, but we were talking about. So we had done the distillery tour at Wilderness Trail. This was last year, pre-COVID. Actually, it was right as COVID was hitting. So it was like April. So everything hadn't quite shut down yet. Things were starting to shut down. But the distilleries were just doing like small tours still. Anyway, so we went there and we did the tour, and they gave us the sample to distill it. And we were all, I mean, not in front of the tour guide, but everybody in the family was like, this is terrible. And I still stand by that. It's one of the worst distillates I've ever had. It was just like, I mean, there's moonshine that's far better than that. And the thing is before they give you any of the samples, they tell you about how, their whole scientific process and making the sweet mash and all that stuff. And I was not impressed by anything there. I've heard, though, that a lot of people are really loving Wilderness Trail, especially this year. So maybe their stuff has improved. I hope so. Jacques Cousteau. But yeah, it's the whole point of that story is that Wilderness Trail brags about all the science they put into their whiskey or bourbon, although they do make rye as well. So really whiskey is probably more accurate. And all the high technology and all this stuff with yeast strains and all the things they're doing. And the thing is they do not make a product as good as this. And as far as I know, Jimmy Russell is not a scientist at all. Doesn't care about science. Not doing anything scientific. He just makes kick-ass bourbon, and that's all he knows how to do, and that's fine. I don't think that science needs to be involved that much in whiskey. It started with a bunch of guys that were just farmers, and we just did just fine with old farmers making whiskey for a long time. So I want to be clear. I like science a lot, especially studying like the universe and things like that. But I don't feel like we need it in whiskey. So it's kind of weird how much Wilderness Trail brags about their science, and then they make bourbon and rye that's just kind of meh. Haven't got one since New Label. Yeah, I haven't either. But as soon as I kill this bottle, I will be getting a New Label 101 rye for sure. That's going to be a staple in the house, I have a feeling. I'm drinking Beach Race out of a dirty tin cup. Okay. I mean, wash your cup, buddy. No, actually, so I joke about that, but this is my whiskey glass, and I don't wash it as often as I should. Got to be honest. I don't wash it every day. I usually just rinse it out with water and just kind of do the hand swirl the water around thing. I mean, whiskey sanitizes everything, so it's whatever. And it kind of, it's like ages the glass. It's kind of like how you don't clean your smoker every time because you kind of want that seasoning. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Buff BT is a good standby, yeah, for sure. Except clean glass, yeah. So anyway, never been a fan of LeBron, but more a fan of Charles Barkley. Oh man, Charles, that's my guy. Like as far as just like cool, old school basketball players, Charles is probably my favorite. I mean, I like Jordan obviously just because of his greatness, but I don't know if we would like be friends. Although he is a whiskey drinker, and maybe it'd be cool to hang out with. But I know for a fact that Sir Charles would be awesome to hang out with. Did you notice difference between New Label 101? So on the bottle I had, which I just killed with the family, let's see, what was it? Last Thursday. And I know we were just talking about not mixing. Well, they used some of that in some apple cider stuff, but it was homemade apple cider. This was not store-bought garbage. And I thought that 101 spiciness would go great with the apple ciders, and it did. Everybody was very happy with it. And it is cold here in Kentucky. It was like that evening, it was something like low 40s, high 30s. So hot apple cider with 101, and it was pretty awesome. I prefer Bullet, but BT is also good. So, funny thing, Commandante Lou, although not true now, but at one point, Buffalo Trace was supplying the distillate for Bullet. So I don't know who's doing it now. I think MGP is now, as far as I know. I think it's coming out of Indiana, so pretty sure it's MGP. At one point, Four Roses was doing the distillate. It's been coming from several different places, but it's never been Bulleit's distillate. I know that for a fact. They do not have their own distillery. There is no Bulleit distillery unless they built one during the pandemic. So if there is one, they just did it this year. Let's see here. Master of a craft, enough said. Yeah, man. Jimmy, I mean, he's the oldest master distiller in the world, not just the United States, in the world. Guy's been doing it for like 5 decades. He doesn't need science. He just makes amazing whiskey over and over again. It's still a life goal to, I'm going to try and do it the next couple months. I want him to sign a bottle of Rare Breed for me, and that bottle will never be opened. It'll be the only unopened bottle I ever own. Haven't tried new label yet. It's on my list for next purchase. Yes. I love Bulleit in summer on ice. Yeah, Bulleit is just like a nice, like especially after a hot day, Bulleit is a nice, chill bourbon. Very mild flavors, very easy on the palate. After a hot day, it's the way to go. I got the new label 175, have not noticed much of a difference. To me, it was slightly more spicy, but I think previous to that, I had a very more bubblegum, kind of like cinnamon bubblegum on the palate 101. I mean, they do vary a little bit, but the new bottle I got after that with the new, it's really more of a non-label. It's just got the turkey in the glass. That seemed a little more cinnamon spice forward to me than the previous bottle. But it could have just been that the old bottle had opened up more and the new one had not yet. Can't really drink the universe, but drinking a good whiskey, that's satisfying. True, yes. Yeah, keep science in its place. I think it's what Commandante Lou is saying. Study stars, not whiskey. Have you done a 10-cup review? I have not. Should be about the price mark you have set now. Do they do a rye? I guess they must if you're suggesting it. I will have to look into that. I've seen 10 Cups American whiskey. I don't know if I've seen their rye. I'll have to keep out an eye for that. I'm drinking out of my rocks glass, but dirty 10 Cup sounds bad. Okay, I got you. Fair enough. Exactly. See, rinsing with water counts as cleaning for whiskey glasses. Because whiskey sanitizes everything, because it's magic. Yeah, man. I mean, as far as like most dominant players ever, yeah, Sir Charles is up there. He's like up there with like Shaq and Wilt. Guy was just a monster. You did not want to get in Chuck's way back in the day. He would make you move. I need to buy 10 cups just for the 10 cup. There you go. Then you can drink out of your dirty 10 cup. Buddy, stop. Dog is making a mess of the house because I'm not paying attention to him. He's a jerk. Sub to Embellish Podcast. Awesome stuff, man. Good. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, John is doing some great stuff. We've kind of been communicating a little bit through messages, and we need to exchange emails so we can do it a little better. But I'm hoping to have him on in the near future if he's cool with that. Because like I said, the guy knows tons about American whiskey and bourbon, and clearly he does a lot of research, so hoping to have him on. Yeah, AZ going using the junkies line there. Bulleit is crushable for sure, man. So there's a lot of bottles in that category, and a lot of them are kind of in that $30 price range. So what I'm thinking, guys, on just an update on the $30 price point bourbons, which will be Still a work in progress title, but it will be like $30 or maybe, I don't know. I'll figure it out. It's too late in the night to figure it out. But like $30 bourbon bracket battle or some crap like that. Let's see here. I don't know because, see, normally Charles doesn't even start his lives until like 9:15, 9:30, and it's just now 9:45. And I told Charles, because he had thought about it, but I told him, you know, if he couldn't join this early, that, you know, I understand, because I told him I had to cut out kind of early as well because of hunting and stuff. So he might do his own thing tonight. Not sure. I need to buy 10 cup just for okay. I already read that. I went back too far. Yes, study stars and drink whiskey. Good philosophy. A whiskey glass is sterile due to whiskey, for sure. Where's Charles tonight? Yeah. So again, not sure he'll be joining us. I sent him the link, but I haven't heard back from him since about 7:45. So they might be doing their own thing. So after I wrap up here in, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, maybe check and see if Charles is on, see what he is up to. Larceny is also crushable for sure. I agree with that. Crushable is better than smooth. Definitely. Yeah. Love Larceny too. Oh, I like crushable. Yeah. So to me, like, one of my favorite crushable bottles is like Woodford, just standard Woodford, Old Forester 100, of course, same parent company, Brown-Forman. Let's see, Wild Turkey 101. I've gone through so many bottles of that. Evan Williams, Bottle and Bond. Yeah, those are the bottles that I've bought way too many. Well, I said to check out and see if Charles is doing something after the stream, but 3 people left when I said that. So, or at least that's what my view count shows. That's all right, guys. If you're supporting Charles, I understand. Charles is a good guy. So, has anybody, we kind of discussed this early on. So for those that came later, these are the ryes that will be in the whiskey kind of showdown, or rye whiskey showdown. So we got Ezra Brooks. We got, and maybe you guys already saw this, but I'm just rehashing. Knob Creek Straight Rye. Of course, Rittenhouse. We got Old Overholt, Bottle and Bond. So we got a couple of Bottle and Bond ryes in there. And then we got, of course, Wild Turkey 101 rye. Could not have the rye showdown without that. And then one of my favorites, Old Forester rye. And then we got very budget option. Well, I mean, it's really not that cheap, but it should be cheaper than it is. Jim Beam rye. I imagine that will come in probably last. I would say either Ezra Brooks, Jim Beam rye, or Jack Daniel's rye will be last. Yeah, that's my feeling on that. Also, Elijah Craig is disqualified because I paid $33 for it, and the cap on the budget rye is $30. So again, guys, if you can think of a budget rye that I do not have, Bullet will be in there. As I said, Jack Daniels, I didn't show it, but Jack Daniels rye will be in there. Elijah Craig is disqualified, so we need a 10th. We got 9 right now. We need a 10th. So if you guys can think of a budget rye that I have not grabbed yet or didn't show or say, let me know, and I will pick that up this week, and then we'll have our 10 And then I'll just got to get the reviews out, and then we'll do the budget rye showdown. When I grow up, I might be able to afford the larceny barrel proof. Man, I'm telling you, it's worth it. I know that the prices can be ridiculous, but it's good stuff. Walter 101 and Evan Williams Bib are my most bought bottles. Yes, for sure. I would say for me, it's like a three-way tie between Old Forester 100, Wild Turkey 101, and Evan Williams Bib. I don't know what I've bought more of, but all three of those are really close. I'm going to get some Ezra Rye. Yeah, at least in my area, I think this is the first time I've seen it. It feels like it's new. So it was very cheap, though. It's by far the cheapest. It was, I think it was $14.50 something at Walmart. I think the next cheapest is, I want to say, it's either Jim Beam or Wild Turkey 101, which is crazy because Wild Turkey 101, I think, is like 21, and Jim Beam was also like 21. So it's crazy that the second cheapest bottle, potentially, Wild Turkey 101, might win it all. That's my feeling. We'll see when we do them all blind what actually happens, but I missed that. Rittenhouse, LOL, that's dope. Yeah, so Commandante, I don't know if you saw the review, but I hinted about LeBron's tweet, which we talked about earlier, and also just there's some puns in there about the whole Rittenhouse trial. Yeah, I tell you, man, it's been a heck of a week for the country, I guess. I hope people can kind of get over this and move on and keep things peaceful. We'll see what happens. How much is Knob Creek Rye in Kentucky? So I got this right at 30. It was $29.99. And actually, that's more than I probably could have paid. I just didn't feel like driving to the next town over, so I bought it in the town I live in, and that's what I paid. But I think I probably could have got it for more like 26, 27 if I had taken the time to drive. I want to try all those ryes. Only had Wild Turkey so far. Yeah, I think, like, just in my mind, if I had to place them right now, and, you know, things could completely change when I do them blind, but I'm thinking either Wild Turkey 101 or Rittenhouse will be first, and then whatever is not first of those two will be second. And then I would say probably third is going to be either Old Forester 100 or Old Overholt. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. Well, actually, wait a second. I forgot. No, probably I would say Knob Creek and Old Forester 100 will probably be battling it out for third and fourth. And then Old Overholt would be fifth or fourth. We'll have to see. But those would be my top five, just like guessing off the top of my head. So imagine some mix of those five will be in the final four, I would guess. We'll see for sure. I don't care for Jack Daniel's rye because it's too much like regular Jack. And kind of the same thing with the Jim Beam rye. I mean, it's definitely more rye forward, but it's just, I don't know, maybe the bottle will open up and get better, but it's very mellow, just like Jim Beam. There's just not a whole lot going on. And Ezra Brooks, kind of same thing as Jack. It's kind of got that Jack funk that I don't care for, which is weird because it's not a Jack product, but it's very Jack-esque. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then Bullet has the licorice thing going on that me and AZ both hate. So that might be battling for dead last. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Old Forester is coming for the belt. Yeah, I mean, possibly. The thing is, I feel like I almost feel like I need to get another bottle because, like, I've had some killer bottles of Old Forester 100 rye. It's just this isn't one, which kind of sucks. I've heard Old Forester rye has a grape note. I don't know if I've gotten that. I've gotten kind of some cherry notes. I've gotten I mean, I've had bottles of Old Forester Rye that were almost identical to Old Forester 100, just with more spice and a little more fruitiness, which I loved. George Dickel Rye. Okay. Yeah. I'll see if I can find that sub 30, Jack. If I can, then I will throw that in the mix. So I'll keep an eye out for that. That's a good suggestion. Have you tried a Redemption? Yeah, AZ, I know I'm going to have to buy a Redemption Rye, even though I can't fit it into the budget category. I'll have to buy one and do a review just for you, buddy. Can't think of one. Knob is my go-to rye. Yeah, Knob is a strong contender. I imagine it will be in the Final Four. I'm guessing, but pretty sure it's going to be in that mix. That Larceny Barrel Proof was $175 at my local liquor pirate. Ugh, that is crazy. You know, that said, though, AZ, I feel like it's going to be, so that's another video that will be coming in the next, end of the year. I'm going to do my bourbon of the year and probably maybe rye of the year as well. I'll do a few things. And also, I'm also going to have planned worst of the year in that mix. But I think Larceny Barrel Proof will be in that mix for bourbon of the year. It's awesome. I know 175 was really steep, but I don't know if I'd pay that. As I said, I think I said in the review I'd pay up to like 110. I think I'm still standing by that. But it's an awesome bottle. Yeah, it's really, really good. I think for bourbon of the year, it's going to be between Larceny Barrel Proof. Of course, I don't have C921, so I'll have to see how that goes if I can get one. And then I don't have the Coy Hill yet. So those two might be front runners as well if and when I can get them. But so Larceny Barrel Proof, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, B521, the Pfeiffer Pavitt XO from Bardstown Bourbon Company, and then I have a store pick of Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. I would say those four are probably, one of those is probably going to take the crown for bourbon of the year. Let's see. Tried some samples at Total Wine and Moorhead. Oh, okay, talking about the Redemption. Yeah. 27 is a deal. Okay, interesting. So Knob Creek's a little higher out there. That's good to know. Old Bottom Shelf Rye. 95% dang. Bullet Rye and Redemption are both MGP. Okay, well, there you go. So maybe it comes down to the blending then, what Redemption does with it. Because if it has that licorice note, it's going to lose. It's going to lose hard. Of course, it wouldn't be in the mix anyway, but it won't get a favorable review. But the thing is, I like MGP. Like, as a company, a lot of people are mad at them because they source out a lot of stuff. But MGP makes some killer bourbons and ryes. So not mad at MGP at all. I would say they're definitely in my top 4 distilleries. I like a lot of stuff from MGP. I always throw the black jelly beans. Yeah, for sure, man. OF 100 is chocolate covered banana to me. I bet the rye is killer. Yeah, so what you were just describing, that's kind of what the rye is like. It's just more spicy. So to me, it's like dark chocolate, banana, brown sugar, caramel, and then like some nice cinnamon spice. That's what I get on the rye. And of course, the cinnamon spice is really present. There's a little bit of the black pepper normally. But for whatever reason, this bottle is a lot more oak forward. So I guess, maybe the blend was just not quite there. But yeah, normally they are fantastic. So kind of disappointed. What was the batch number you had again, Sean? Oh, Larson. I believe B521. I don't want to run downstairs and check, but I'm pretty sure it's B521. I'm almost positive. I can look at the review and double check, but pretty sure it's B521 that I got. And it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, the B batches coming out of Heaven Hill this year have been fantastic. Really, really good. And I haven't really mentioned it yet, but this Wild Turkey 101 rye, it might be better than Rittenhouse. I don't know. Maybe it's just my bias towards Wild Turkey products speaking. But, I mean, they're kind of similar, actually, as far as flavor profiles, but they're both very fruity and very sweet. No licorice. Little hints of mint, but not overpowering. And of course, they got the nice rye spice going on with those kind of fruity notes. Lots of like kind of candied fruit notes. Both of them kind of have that going on, which I really like in a rye. So yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm curious to see how this is going to go blind. Yeah, I think either way, Lou, whether if you can find a Larceny at a decent price, or if you can find Ledge Craig at a decent price, either way, I would snag it up because I think both of them are fantastic. So that is the plan for end of the year. Is kind of the final video of this year will be best of the year, best bourbon of the year, best rye of the year, and then worst of the year. And the worst of the year may not necessarily be like worst product that came out this year, just worst that I tried this year. So I'll have to kind of qualify that. But if you've watched my reviews, then you probably know what's going to be in the mix. Yeah, there's a few that will be competing for the crown of worst of the year. Yeah. Not looking forward to that, but my plan is I'm going to do a very quick blind for each one of them. It'll probably just be the end of the blind. Like I'll taste them all, do real quick, and then show the winner or loser, I guess, for worst, and then crown each one, and that will be the last video of the year. So that's the plan for that. And then I'm also going to try and get this rye thing out. Also want to get out the gift video. I shot it already, but it was really long, so I'm going to have to do a lot of editing to get it down to where it's a viewable length. So I'm going to have to cut out some stuff just so you guys aren't sitting there for a long time having to listen to me talk. There's a local brewery in AZ called Santan that is now making whiskey called Sacred Stave. Okay, I've actually heard of this. Yeah. Need to check it out. Okay. Yeah, man. So funny enough, that is one of my gift suggestions in my gift video, is that if you're trying to buy something for a whiskey lover, like a guy like myself or you guys, one of my suggestions is getting something from a local distillery that is a distillery-only release. So, spoiler, because for guys like us, that's pretty much the only thing that we might not have, is something you can only get at a distillery. And that's, I know for me personally, like if somebody got me something that was a distillery-only release, that would be awesome, because there's no way I'm going to get it myself, especially if it's out of state. Like if it's coming from, like, say, Arizona, California, Indiana, New York, Texas, there's no way I'm going to get those bottles. So that's the gift to get for a whiskey lover that they're not going to have for sure. Because otherwise, I mean, if you're trying to buy whiskey for a guy that has a ton of whiskey, it's hard to find something they don't have or something they would want that they don't have. But a distillery-only release is always cool. Consider Best budget for mixer old-fashioned bands. Okay, yeah, I can make that a category. That sounds good, Lou. I don't do mixers much, so this is not an area of expertise. But I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I'll give it the old college try. I mean, well, I won't say. I'll make like a couple suggestions. Which, of course, how do you find the rare products like? Okay, so other Sean, the honest truth is I spend a lot of time hunting whiskey, like way too much. So because of our work, I work with my dad. We do construction and remodeling. And so we're all over about 2 or 3 counties, actually more like 3 or 4 counties here in South Central Kentucky. And anytime I see a liquor store, if we have extra time, we always stop in and I run in, I check what their inventory is. I try and get to know the clerks. I try and figure out when the trucks are coming, what their schedule is, make friends. If I can, if they have any kind of list I can get on for them to call me, I do that. I have that going at 3 or 4 different stores now. I always try and get to know the owners, so that way they pretty much know my schedule, and so they know that if I tell them what I'm looking for, I tell them this is the price I'm willing to pay, and then a lot of store owners have saved bottles for me. So, I'm willing to pay a little over retail as long as it's reasonable. So I think, if you're doing a 10 to 20% markup, that's okay. I understand that some of these bottles are very hard to get because, see, the way it works on the store side is that they have to sell a certain amount of product from these distilleries before the distillery will even give them these allocated bottles. That's what allocated actually means, is it's allocated to the store. So the store has to sell a certain amount of product from, let's say, Buffalo Trace. And until they meet that quota, that store doesn't get anything from Buffalo Trace. Like Buffalo Trace will not send them the allocated bottles. They won't do it. So for the store, it's kind of a hassle as well. So when they do finally get these allocated bottles, that's why they kind of mark them up, because they've had to work to get these, you might say. So I understand better now, because I've been doing this for a while, why they mark them up. It's just that I want the markup to be reasonable. And so when I see stores that are reasonable consistently on products, then I try and make friends with them, because I feel like, they're getting a little bit more on their end, which I understand, but they're still being fair with the customer. And so, like I said, if it's a 10 to 20% markup, that's fine. For instance, so, if you have an E.H. Taylor small batch and it's 40 retail, but you're marking up to 50, 55, okay, that's fine. You're making a little extra money. It's not a crazy price, so I'll work with you. And so that's how I go about getting a lot of the bottles I've found, is I try and make friends. I just hunt a lot. I mean, that's really more of it than anything, is I just spend a lot of time hunting. I stop in every store I can stop in. Even when me and my wife are traveling, I'm stopping in stores. I mean, my larceny barrel proof, I found in Macon, Georgia, which is not anywhere near my house. But it was about lunchtime. We were heading back to Kentucky from a trip to Florida. I had Googled like good restaurants in the area. We were driving to a restaurant. I saw this liquor store. It kind of looked like it was kind of off the beaten trail. There wasn't a lot of cars there. So I thought to myself, this might be kind of a honey hole, because there's not a lot of traffic coming through here. And so we stopped in, and sure enough, there was 3 bottles of larceny barrel proof sitting on the shelf. The guy wanted 90, which was a little high. So I just kind of started chatting with him. He was a bourbon guy. He actually had a couple store picks he was trying to sell me. So he gave me some samples. We were talking about bourbon, talking about whiskey. He knew quite a bit about bourbon and the history. And so we talked for probably 20 minutes. I just kind of got to know the guy. And because of that kind of conversation afterwards, I said, look, I'm interested in your larceny barrel proof, but would you come down to 80? And he said, well, I can tell you're really a bourbon guy, so I'll go ahead and do that. And so, even though that's a little more than retail, I think that it was well worth the 80. So I wasn't too upset about it. So that's a lot of it. It's just spending a lot of time hunting. I know that sucks. That's not like a great answer, but also making friends with good store owners, like not the guys that are ripping people off, but if you can find store owners that are reasonable, make friends with them. Talk to them, get to know when the trucks are coming in, try and make yourself available, and let them know, that you're willing to pay a little more if it's reasonable. And a lot of it is just that they want to get the bottle sold. So if they know that you're going to come in and buy that bottle when it comes in on the truck, then they don't have to worry about it. They know it's not going to sit on the shelf. They know that they're going to get rid of it quick. And so they might cut you a little more of a deal, because I've had guys. So my first bottle of E.H. Taylor, small batch, the guy wanted 65. And I said, look, man, I know that's a $40 bottle. So, and this was after I'd talked to him quite a few times. And so he sold to me for 55. So we knocked $10 off. I know it's still 15 over retail, but it's not so crazy high prices that I felt it wasn't worth it. So a lot of it is just making friends in your local, liquor stores. I'm cheap. The most expensive bottles are Rare Breed and OF 1920. Well, those are two bottles that are worth every penny every single time. I don't know how Wild Turkey is putting out Rare Breed for 45. I mean, that's here locally. That's what it is. I would pay that all day long. I mean, I have two bottles downstairs right now, and I'm looking at getting a third because there's a new batch on the shelf and local stores. So yeah, probably going to do that. So I'll probably have three here pretty soon. And if I could have 4 or 5, I would. It's just I'm usually spending money on other stuff. And then Old Forester 1920 is just killer. I don't know how you go wrong with either of those. Good advice. Chattanooga 111. So when I first opened that bottle up, I wasn't impressed. It was like way too much like raisin and plum and not a whole lot else. But it sat for probably like a month now, and I revisited it just 3 or 4 nights ago. And man, that has become a really nice. I guess it is barrel proof. It's kind of a lower barrel proof, but nonetheless, it is a very nice barrel proof whiskey, not bourbon. I will get a Sacred Stave AZ bourbon and let you guys know. Sacred Stave. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. My brain's kind of shutting down here. Yeah, that would be cool, man. I'm curious what they're putting out over there. I've heard a little bit about them, but I've never seen anybody review them. I would just kind of read stuff on forums and stuff that, Sacred Stave was putting out good stuff. So yeah, curious to see what you find. Only good thing about state-controlled ABC states, no price gouging. Yeah, I wish that we had that here in Kentucky. That'd be great. We don't, though. Yeah, so I have an old batch because this was one of the first allocated bottles I got. So my bottle is 2.5 years old, and I'm very meticulous about the way I store it. And it has opened up to be just a monster of a bottle. So I paid $55 for it, and ASP3, Adam, my next door neighbor, he actually got 2 recent small batches, and we've compared all 3 of them, and they're all 3 different batches, and we agree that mine is the better of the 3. So very happy to have that one. I just got a Weller 107 for $49. Okay, cool. Charles wouldn't be happy with that if he were here. I don't know what happened with my bottle. So when I did the review, if you guys haven't seen the review, it's out. But when I did the review, I loved that bottle. It was very like kind of red fruit forward, lots of strawberries, raspberries, maybe even some hints of grape, and trying to think what else. Maybe a little cherry in there as well. Kind of going from memory here, but revisiting it now, this is probably 3 or 4 months later. Man, it has, like, the finish is very sour oak now. So I hope your bottle doesn't go that way, Wayne. I hope you get a good one. But either way, for $49, that's a steal. I paid $65 for mine at a liquor barn here locally, and that is considered a good price in Kentucky. So yeah, $49, that's a steal. Good for you, man. How much did you pay for the Larceny Barrel Proof? Oh, okay, well, I answered that. So his stores in college towns and in bad neighborhoods can find, yeah. So especially bad neighborhoods. That has been my experience as well. Trying to think about how to. Well, okay, so I'm going to try and keep this as PC as possible, but my experience has been, and this is just facts, and I'm not trying to disparage any group of people, but there's certain poor neighborhoods that apparently do not appreciate good whiskey. So they tend to sit on shelves. So if you know where those areas might be in your town, maybe go check them out. And maybe you have to do a little searching, do a little Google Maps search and see what you got going on in your area, because I have found many, for instance, my first bottle of Weller Special Reserve came from a very, let's say, ghetto liquor store, and it was dusty. Like, it probably had a 1/4 inch of dust on it. And the guy sold to me for $50 for the 1.75, which in Kentucky, that is a deal. You hardly ever find Weller Special Reserve 1.75 for that price. So, yeah. And I don't even like Weller Special Reserve. I just needed it for the review. So I was happy to get it at a reasonable price. Damn, I'm lacking. It's hard to get special bottle here since most of the distributors stay out of my area. Hard to find anything that isn't designers. Okay. Trying to think. Jack, did you say where you are? Anyway. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, like I said earlier, a lot of it is just spending a crap load of time hitting up the stores. I wish I could say like there's some kind of magical way to do it, but there really isn't. You just got to take the time to stop at every store you see. And often. Hope Rice Liquors in Port Wentworth, Georgia has 50 plus bottles of Eagle Rare for $39. Okay. I mean, that's what they should be all the time. Like, to me, Eagle Rare is not a big deal. You know, I have 2 bottles of it, as you guys saw in my review. They do kind of vary some, so I do like one better than the other. The one has like a weird, like, cherry NyQuil note that I don't care for at all, but the other one is better. But I mean, my biggest problem is that Eagle Rare is just too watery. It's just watered down too much, and it's 90 proof, so there are good 90 proofers. So it's not like all 90 proofers are bad. It's just, to me, Eagle Rare needs to be more like 100. If it was 100 proof, I think it would be a really good bottle for that price. But at 90, it's just kind of, it's all right. Which that will be in the $30-ish bourbon battle bracket thing. So we'll see how it does. Rare Breed is still worth it, absolutely. I can get, excuse me, sorry. I can get Beach Race for $19, but Eagle Rare is a rip. Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. In most areas. What does the sign behind you say? Okay, I assume that you guys could read, but the glare is bad. I can see now. So this is about the only Jim Beam thing that I really enjoy. So Lewis and Clark didn't load the canoe with mojitos. That's right. Whiskey. I'm off center. Let's see here. Come on. Yeah, that was a sign I'd planned on putting down in my whiskey room, and then it just didn't really fit. So I moved it up here just so I have something behind me. Because I mean, honestly, this is a bedroom here, and my bedroom is that way, and these are holes in the drywall that I need to fix. Uh, Someday I'll get around to that. I don't know if you guys saw the first live I tried to do, but I did. I tried to do it down the basement, and it ends up that you cannot run a USB 30 feet and have a good signal. So I do lives up here now. I wish I could be down in my whiskey room. It'd be a lot more convenient. I wouldn't have to haul whiskey up here and then back down and all that kind of crap. But either way, the lives have been going pretty well. I'm glad you guys keep showing up. I'm glad you guys are enjoying them. So talk to store owners. Sometimes they can let you know what their supply network is and when your preferred bottle will. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly what I was saying, Lou. I mean, if you can find good store owners, guys that are not trying to rip you off, talk with them as much as you can. Now, granted, again, a lot of that is being there regularly. You know, them recognizing you, them, and and spend money there. Even if I go into a store and they have nothing that I really need, if it's a store that I frequent where I know that the owner is going to give me, the bottle I'm looking for, and especially if the owner's there, I always buy something just so they see that you're a frequent patron of their store, you're supporting them. That's how, it's just the name of the game. 19 is a super good price. Best I've ever found is 29. Yeah, as I said earlier, that's why I couldn't put Buffalo Trace in the 25 and under category, because a lot of people are paying more. And unfortunately, even here in Kentucky, we're paying more than 25 in a lot of places for Buffalo Trace. I would pay 45 for the Eagle Rare. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I think 30 is where it's at. I think it's a $30 product and it needs to stay 30. But I understand that it's not 30 or anywhere near that in a lot of places, which is crazy. I live in South Phoenix, but the local liquor stores keep the hooch behind the counter. Yeah, so that's a bad sign. Anytime you walk into a store and the good bottles are behind the counter, you're probably going to have issues. Yeah. Not always, but a lot of the time that's true. Why am I not Central NM? What is NM? No, that's not right. I'm sorry. My brain's about dead, Jack. NM. Why can I not think what that means? Anyway, I'm sure you'll tell me. A lot of non-state controlled states have incredible levels of corruption in distribution chain. South Carolina is the worst. Yeah, I mean, Kentucky, I don't know if it's the worst, but it's bad. 10-year and 90 proof kind of sucks. Yeah, it does. Nice sign. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So I wish maybe someday I'll have a bigger gun budget, but currently all of my budget goes to whiskey. That's the downside to this channel. As much as I enjoy it, basically all of my free money goes to whiskey. So I'm hoping that changes in the near future. We'll see how it goes. But currently, most of it's going to whiskey. Not Mexico, North Mexico. Neo Mexico. So tough. Oh, okay. I got you. Yes. I probably should know that. The brain is not working. I would blame whiskey, but I haven't drank that much, so I'm just going to blame being dumb. I've spoken with numerous store owners in South Carolina. it is not uncommon for a distributor to tell them if they buy 15 cases of Jim Beam Black, you'll get 2 cases of Blanton's. Then mysteriously, the Blantons won't be on the truck, and there's nothing. Yeah. So, funny thing. Now, that seems odd to me, like that situation. Although, maybe there's some kind of kickback that Jim Beam is giving distributors, but so the way it works at Buffalo Trace, for instance, is that store owners are asked to promote, say, Fireball, which is a Sazerac product. And then if a certain amount of Fireball is sold, then they start getting the allocated bottles from Buffalo Trace. And there's a lot of this kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, I've talked to several different owners that have told me these kind of stories. So I know, like, unless they're all in cahoots, all these store owners are just talking to each other and making up these stories. Seems like that the distributors and the distilleries kind of have them like over a barrel, pun intended. And so basically, if you don't sell their cheap garbage that nobody wants, then you don't get the good bottles, which kind of sucks because, I mean, for store owners, that's got to suck because then you have to promote this product that maybe you don't even want to sell, but you have to get the bottles that people do want. So I went into a brand new liquor store last year and they had McKenna 10 sitting in a glass case priced at $90. Yeah, so by the way, guys, I hadn't mentioned it yet, and we're getting near the end of the stream. So this is the bottle for tomorrow's review, Henry McKenna 10-year. Thank you for reminding me. Still live in the woods. So as I say in the review, I finally, what's going on with my camera here? Come on, camera. Well, I'm going to stop the camera and then restart it. Come on. No, it's not going to focus. I don't know what's going on. Stop camera. Nope. Okay. No, it's not going to focus. So anyway, so I finally found this bottle for $50. And like I'd had it at a couple different bars and I just didn't think it was worth the prices I was seeing, like for instance, $90. And I've seen it over 100 like often. So camera is pissing me off. Come on, camera. There we go. Okay. So finally got it for 50, and so now I got one, and the review will be out tomorrow, so you guys can see what I think about it. Turned around and walked right out. Yeah, that's the thing, guys, is that we have the power to control this. We are the consumer. So, if you see stores, this is my thing. You guys can join me in doing this. And if more people did, then we could just stomp out these liquor stores that are ripping us off. But if you go into a liquor store and they're charging twice what retail is for any bottle, just never spend your money there again, ever, for any reason. Even if it's convenient, even if you just need like a case of beer, never spend $1 there ever again. I don't. There's 3 or 4 stores in the next town over that I used to go to fairly often. And I saw this trend that every time they got in a rare bottle, they wanted double retail, sometimes 3 times what retail was. And so now I never shop there, ever. I don't ever spend any money there. And if more people did that, then they would either go out of business or lower their prices. So, yeah, it's all up to us. We are the ones with the money. So they have to bow to us if enough of us do that. Whiskey forgives us all. Bland's look silly to me. That's because it is silly. I don't have the review out yet, but I call it the My Little Pony bottle for a reason. Because it's like, I don't know. It's just, if you like pretty things, then, whatever. The distillate inside it's okay. It's not bad. It's whatever. Greetings. Did not see you did a whiskey. Yeah. Well, the review is out tomorrow, so I won't say any more. I liked it when it was 28. Yep. Evening Woods. I'm not a bourbon douche. I don't know what you mean by that, AZ, but I agree. You're not a bourbon douche. I don't know how you would go about douching bourbon, but you're definitely not the person to do that. Plans versus larceny fight. That's an unfair fight, and I'm not going to say which would win. Fisher Price, my first bourbon. So here's the thing. I mean, as I said on last stream, my first bottle of Blanton's, I paid $120 for that bottle. And very, very disappointing. It was the most disappointing bottle of whiskey to this day I've ever bought. Yeah, don't ever do that's why I know I get a little strong in my reviews, like on allocated bottles, but it's mainly because I'm trying to turn people away from overspending on allocated bottles, because I see people doing it over and over and over again on forums, and it's just, you're going to be disappointed. I mean, unless you just, if somehow your brain can buy into the hype and make it taste better than it does, then, whatever. But I don't know. It's just, I don't get it. I especially don't get blends. Like, it's good, but it's, I mean, now at Liquor Barn, which is where I see it the most often, it's $75 for a blends. It's not a $75 bottle. Not even close. If it were like 40, then it would compete pretty well, but not 75. Good to see you, DV. Well, guys, I actually stayed later than I thought I was going to. It's now 10:30. I have to be up at 5:15, so that's less than 7 hours from now. I'm sorry to kind of cut off in mid-conversation here, but I do need to get some sleep. I need to go see if I can find some deer in the morning. So, sorry, still living in the woods. I know you just kind of joined us. I apologize, buddy. But got to get some sleep. So just so you guys know, these shorter streams and these earlier streams, only one more week of this, and then I will be back to regular schedule. So I've been starting at 8:30, which I know is kind of early for some of you guys. But so next Friday will be the same, unfortunately. But then after that, gun season for deer is over. So I won't be getting up as early. It's still bow season, but I got more time with that. But I'm trying to be out in the woods as much as I can be during gun season. So that's what all the kind of shorter streams are about. So one more Friday of shorter streams, and then we'll be back to regular schedule, and we'll probably be back to starting more like 9:30 Eastern, which will probably be more convenient for a lot of you guys. So again, I apologize for the short stream, but hope to see you guys next week. And thank you, everybody that came. All the regulars, really appreciate it, as always. And I hope you guys are looking forward to the rye reviews coming up and the rye battle. And as I said, tomorrow we got the review of this coming out. And then, let's see, Wednesday will be another rye. And then next Saturday will be the kind of the whiskey gift guide, or whatever you want to call it. Haven't thought up an official title yet, but that will be next Saturday. So, hope you guys all have a good evening. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it as always, and appreciate the support. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you on the reviews and also next Friday. Good night, everybody.